I never believed a building could breathe. That changed the night I broke into the abandoned textile factory outside my town. Everyone knew about it. The place had been closed since the late 90s after a chemical spill and multiple accidents. Workers supposedly started disappearing during overnight shifts. The company blamed machinery malfunctions. The families blamed the company. Eventually it shut down. It sat there rotting for decades, massive and hollow, like a corpse no one wanted to bury. My friend Aaron and I went there for content. Urban exploration. We'd done hospitals, schools, warehouses. Nothing ever happened beyond raccoons and creaking beams. But this place felt wrong before we even stepped inside. The factory stood alone in the middle of dead grassland. No houses nearby. No streetlights. Just broken windows staring out like empty eye sockets. The front doors were chained, so we slipped through a shattered loading dock entrance. The air inside was heavy. Not dusty, heavy. Like the oxygen had weight. Our flashlights cut through the darkness, revealing rusted machines lined in rows. Conveyor belts frozen mid-motion. Old fabric scraps scattered across the concrete floor like molted skin. The first strange thing happened 10 minutes in. Aaron whispered, "Do you hear that?" At first I didn't. Then I did. A slow, steady sound. Inhale. Exhale. It was faint. Almost mechanical. Like distant ventilation. But the factory had no power. We both stood still. The sound stopped. We kept moving. The deeper we went, the warmer it got. That made no sense. It was November. We could see our breath outside. But inside the building, the air felt humid. Damp. My hoodie clung to my skin. Then we found the offices. The glass was shattered, papers strewn everywhere. Old employee files were scattered across the floor. Most were moldy and unreadable. But on one desk, neatly stacked, was a pile of papers that looked almost preserved. Like someone had placed them there recently. Aaron reached for them. The breathing started again. Only louder. Not from ahead of us. From behind us. We spun around. The hallway was empty. But the walls, I swear to you, or the walls were expanding. Very slightly. Like a chest rising during an inhale. Then contracting. Aaron laughed nervously. It's the heat. Old buildings shift. I wanted to believe that. We backed away from the office and headed toward the central production floor again. The breathing followed. Sometimes it was above us. Sometimes below. Sometimes so close it felt like someone was standing right behind my neck. Then Aaron disappeared. 1 second he was in front of me. The next, he turned a corner between 2 rows of machinery. I followed immediately. He wasn't there. The row was straight. No side exits. No doors. Just metal equipment and concrete walls. Aaron. No answer. The breathing stopped. The silence that followed was worse. Then I heard it. Aaron. But it wasn't me. It was my voice. From somewhere deeper in the factory. It repeated again. Perfectly mimicked. Panic hit hard. I started backing toward the entrance. My flashlight flickered. The air felt tighter. Like pressure building. Then I felt it. The wall behind me pressed forward. Not crumbling. Not shifting. Pressing. Like something enormous was leaning against it from the inside. The concrete bulged slightly. And I felt warmth through my back. Body heat. The wall inhaled. My hoodie tightened against me. Then exhaled. And I swear, I felt breath on the back of my neck. I ran. I don't remember how I found the exit. I just remember falling out of the loading dock onto cold gravel outside. The factory stood still. Silent. Aaron was never found. Police searched the building for days. No sign of him. No signs of collapse. No hidden rooms. Nothing. But when I drive past that place at night, sometimes I see the broken windows fog up from the inside. Like something in there is still breathing. I've never told this story publicly because for a long time I convinced myself it wasn't real. But I know what I saw. And I know something saw me too. This happened 3 years ago when I was 26. I used to do urban exploration photography. Not the stupid TikTok kind where people smash things or act dramatic. I genuinely love documenting abandoned buildings before they were demolished. Old hospitals, schools, factories. I never believed in ghosts. I believed in mold, unstable flooring, and trespassing charges. That night changed that. It started when my friend Darren sent me a location, an abandoned psychiatric facility about an hour outside town. It shut down in the early 2000s after allegations of patient abuse. Half the buildings were boarded up. The other half were just left. The place wasn't popular online. No YouTube videos. No Reddit posts. That made it better. Less attention meant less security. I went alone. That was my first mistake. The drive there felt longer than usual. The facility sat behind a dead strip mall and a collapsed fence. Tall weeds had swallowed most of the parking lot. The main building looked like a concrete block rotting from the inside. Windows shattered. Graffiti sprayed across the entrance. But what stood out was how quiet it was. No crickets. No wind. Just stillness. I parked behind a broken delivery truck and grabbed my camera and flashlight. The air smelled like wet dirt and something metallic, like old blood. Inside, it was colder than outside. Not dramatically colder. Just enough to notice. The lobby was destroyed. Ceiling tiles hung down like loose skin. Mold crawled up the walls. The reception desk had been flipped over. Papers were scattered everywhere, patient files, most of them ripped apart. I started taking photos. Everything felt normal at first. Then I heard something. A soft metallic clang. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just distant. Like a door closing gently somewhere deep in the building. I froze. Listened. Nothing. I told myself it was just the building settling. Old buildings make noise. I kept moving. The hallways were long and narrow. The fluorescent lights were still mounted overhead, but obviously dead. My flashlight beam stretched down corridors that seemed to never end. Room after room had rusted bed frames bolted to the floor. Some still had leather restraints attached. That's when I noticed something that made my stomach tighten. One of the beds had fresh scratch marks on the metal frame. Not rust. Not old damage. Fresh. The metal underneath was silver and exposed. Like someone had clawed at it recently. I backed away slowly. And that's when I heard it again. But this time it wasn't metallic. It was a footstep. Clear. Heavy. Somewhere behind me. I spun around. Nothing. The hallway was empty. My heart was pounding now. I called out, "Hello." Silence. Then, faintly. Another step. But this time it wasn't behind me. It was in front of me. Somewhere deeper in the corridor. That's when the fear stopped feeling exciting and started feeling wrong. I should have left. Instead, I moved toward the sound. I don't know why. Maybe ego. Maybe curiosity. Maybe stupidity. The hallway led to a large open ward area. Rows of half-walls separated old patient spaces. Curtains hung shredded from the ceiling tracks. My flashlight caught something at the far end of the room. A door. Slightly open. Moving. Just barely swaying. Like someone had gone through it seconds ago. There was no breeze. I could feel the air, heavy and still. The door shouldn't have been moving. I whispered, "Who's there?" And that's when I heard breathing. Not loud. Not exaggerated. Just breathing. Slow. Human. Coming from the other side of that door. My entire body locked up. I don't scare easily. But something about that sound was wrong. It wasn't panic breathing. It wasn't someone trying to hide. It was calm. Like they knew I was there. Like they were waiting. I took a step back. The breathing stopped. And then? The door creaked open wider. Very slowly. No hand visible. Just opening. I didn't wait. I turned and walked quickly, not running yet, back down the hallway. Halfway down, I heard a voice. Clear as day. Right behind me. "Don't leave." It was a man's voice. Low. Hoarse. Close. So close it felt like breath on my neck. I ran. Full sprint. I didn't look back. I don't know how I made it back to the lobby. My flashlight beam was shaking so badly I could barely see. My footsteps echoed violently. And then I heard it. Footsteps running behind me. Matching my pace. Heavy. Fast. Not imaginary. Not distant. Right there. I burst into the lobby and aimed my flashlight behind me. The hallway was empty. Completely empty. No movement. No sound. But something felt wrong. The front doors, the same ones I came through, were now closed. I know they were open when I entered. I remember pushing one of them further open with my shoulder. Now they were shut. Not boarded. Not locked. Just shut. I rushed over and grabbed the handle. It wouldn't move. It felt like someone on the other side was holding it. I pulled harder. Nothing. My breathing turned into gasps. And then slowly, the handle started to turn in my hand. But not from me pulling. From the other side. Turning downward. Slowly. Like someone testing it. I let go immediately. The handle stopped. I stepped back. That's when I saw it. Through the dirty glass panel beside the door. A face. Pressed against the outside. But not fully visible. Just the outline. Too pale. Too still. Watching me. No blinking. No movement. Just there. I couldn't see eyes clearly, but I could feel them on me. And then the head tilted slightly. Like it was studying me. I don't remember deciding to run deeper into the building. I just did. I knew I couldn't stay in that lobby. I found a stairwell and ran up 2 flights. The air upstairs was even colder. And quieter. Too quiet. No footsteps now. No breathing. Just silence. I slowed down, trying to listen. That's when I heard something that still messes with me. My own voice. From somewhere down the hall. Calling out softly. "Hello?" Exactly how I had said it earlier. Same tone. Same pitch. Perfect imitation. I felt my legs go weak. Then it said it again. But closer. "Hello?" I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Then slowly, a door halfway down the hall opened. And something stepped out. It was tall. Too tall. Its posture was wrong. Arms slightly too long. Head slightly too tilted. But what made my brain shut down was the face. It looked like me. Not perfectly. But enough. Like someone had tried to recreate my face from memory. The eyes were wrong though. Too dark. And the smile was too wide. It didn't move toward me. It just stood there. watching. And then it lifted its hand. And waved. Slowly. Mocking. I don't remember running past it. I just remember the stairs. Falling. Pain in my shoulder. And suddenly I was outside. On the pavement. Gasping. The doors behind me were wide open. Nothing inside. No face. No movement. Just an empty building. I left. I never went back. 2 weeks later, I checked local news out of curiosity. There was a short article. A homeless man had been found dead inside the same facility. Cause of death unknown. They said there were no signs of forced entry. No signs of struggle. Just severe dehydration. In a building full of broken windows. In winter. Sometimes I still wake up to the sound of my own voice whispering hello from the hallway of my apartment. And once. Just once. I woke up at 3:17 a.m. and saw something standing in my bedroom doorway. Too tall. Head tilted. Watching me. And slowly. It waved. I don't explore abandoned places anymore. And if you ever hear something inside an empty building breathing calmly, don't investigate. Because whatever is inside might already know exactly what you look like. The abandoned church sat deep in the woods, miles from any main road. No roof. Just crumbling stone walls and a skeletal bell tower. Locals said it burned down decades ago after a midnight service went wrong. Some kind of ritual rumor. No proof. I went alone. The forest grew unnaturally quiet as I approached. The church doors were gone. Just open entry. Inside, moonlight poured down from the open sky where the roof once was. Old pews still sat in rows. Rotting but upright. At the altar, there was a circle carved into the stone floor. Fresh. That's when I realized this place wasn't as abandoned as people thought. I stepped further inside. The temperature dropped. Suddenly, the bell tower above me rang. One loud toll. I froze. There was no bell. I looked up. In the tower opening stood a silhouette. Tall. Watching me. Then it stepped back out of view. I ran toward the exit. The doors were back. Closed. Solid wood. They hadn't been there before. The pews shifted behind me. Scraping against stone. Turning. All of them slowly rotated to face me instead of the altar. I wasn't alone anymore. Figures sat in the pews. Translucent. Burned. Skin blackened and cracked. All staring forward. At me. The altar circle began to glow faintly red. A whisper filled the church. Not one voice. Many. Praying. I felt something grab my shoulders. Cold hands. Holding me in place. The silhouette from the tower now stood at the altar. Its face was charred beyond recognition. But its eyes were bright. Alive. It opened its mouth. And the congregation mimicked it. Wide. Unnatural. The whispering turned into chanting. The circle on the floor burned brighter. I smelled smoke. But nothing was burning. The figure pointed at me. And every head in the pew snapped in my direction at once. I broke free and ran toward the doors. They wouldn't open. The chanting grew louder. The bell rang again. And again. And again. The sky above the church darkened unnaturally fast. Like something closing in. Then everything went silent. I was standing outside. Alone. The church was roofless again. Empty. No doors. No pews turned. Nothing. I drove home shaking. 2 weeks later, I developed burn marks on my shoulders. Hand-shaped. Doctors couldn't explain it. Sometimes at night, I hear faint church bells. And when I close my eyes, I see rows of burned figures sitting patiently, waiting for the service to continue.